Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Howard Martin, who's the Executive Vice President for Strategic Development at HeartMath LLC. He is the key spokesperson for HeartMath Worldwide and the co-author of a groundbreaking book that you all should pick up and read called The HeartMath Solution. He's conducted training programs and keynote presentations in Fortune 100 companies, government agencies, the U.S. military, school systems, and through publicly promoted events in over 50 cities and 4 continents. He also created the HeartMath Method audio learning program and produced 2 award-winning musical recordings. Before HeartMath, he was a successful musician, account executive with E.F. Hutton, and vice president of capital funding. The reason he's been invited here today is because of the groundbreaking and profound influence that our heart has on the entire body and in our lives. The heart is intelligent. It's not just this mushy, emotional feeling thing. On page 201 of their book, it is said that people often believe they can think or emote a change of attitude, but changes in the feeling world require heart coherence. I want to talk today about heart coherence, and I can't think of anybody better to do it than Howard Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Howard Martin to It's Rainmaking Time. Good morning.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show and have a chance to share what's most meaningful to me in my life's work with as many people as possible.
I think the work that you've all been doing at the Institute is so profound because neuroscience is now teaching us and has been showing us for many years that the heart is way more involved in emotionality and way more involved in a lot of our decisions, even business decisions, than we're willing to admit. I want you to talk about that, and I want you to share one of the key concepts which has to do with heart coherence to our audiences, so we have a frame of reference to receive you in the groundbreaking work at your institute.
Sure. Well, let me say right off the bat that, heart is not in competition with brain. We're all an integrated system with all kinds of intelligences operating in our physiology, in our body. It's easy for us to assume that the brain is the source of all of our intelligence. It's where we feel things, it's where we see things, it's where we hear things. But I think new science is showing that intelligence is more than that. It isn't just compartmentalization of information and a lot of the things that go on very naturally in our brain. At HeartMath, for years, we focused on trying to understand the dynamics between the heart, the brain, and the rest of the body at a physiological level. But we took it further, of course, into the emotional heart and the spiritual heart and a lot of things. But when we started HeartMath, we had our own experiences along the way about life and about how we navigated life, and we knew that heart and the qualities of heart had a lot to do with what it took to be fulfilled and successful. And we wanted to introduce that system now. We started over 20 years ago. We wanted to introduce a system of techniques, methods, and ultimately technology that could help people really operate more from their own hearts. But we also knew that if we tried to introduce another heart approach and system into the world and did it the same way it had been done before, that it would be, we get approximately the same result. So we did engage in one of the things that people respect in our modern society, and that is science. The science that we've done was not in any way designed to take the heart out of heart. It was designed to give it an empirical or grounded understanding that could give people the greater ability to believe in the heart. So what we found was, to your point and to directly to your question, is that at the physiological level, the heart was doing a lot more than pumping blood. It was sending information to the brain and to the rest of the body. And the information coming from heart to brain, for example, is very important. Brain function is critically dependent upon this information, these signals that are coming from our hearts. We do it in 4 ways. There's a neurological communication. It starts with a very complex nervous system found right in the heart, studied through a field called neurocardiology, sending information to the brain. We have blood pressure wave changes that are affecting electrical activity in our brains. A surprising finding was that researchers had already shown and reclassified the heart as part of our hormonal system because it produced a number of hormones. So there was a chemical communication or biochemical communication taking place between the heart and the brain and the body. Lastly, where it got most interesting to me is that we began to look at the heart through the eyes of it being an electrical organ. The heart produces by far the strongest source of bioelectricity in our bodies. It's 40 to 60 times stronger than the electricity produced by the brain, for example. It creates an electromagnetic field that extends beyond our skin out into space, can be detected about 3 to 4 feet outside of the body. That field changes depending upon what emotions we are feeling. So lots of amazing new discoveries we were able to see about the physical heart. This information, by the way, was out there in bits and pieces all over the place. But no one had really put it all together and told the story and put it into a way of, I think someone like me who's not a trained scientist, but someone like me could understand it, and then it could be shared with others. When all of this communication is working in synchronization and harmoniously, we do enter a state, and you referred to this term a minute ago, called coherence. Coherence is a highly ordered state, both physical and psychological. Actually, the name of it scientifically is psychophysiological coherence. At the physical level, it's when all the body's systems are synchronized and working in harmony. And what they're synchronizing to is changes in the heart rhythms. They're synchronizing to the heart itself. Things like digestion, respiration, immune system response, hormonal balance. All those major systems are triggering off of the heart. And so as the heart goes, the rest of the systems go. So in the coherent state, all the body systems are working again in synchronization and harmony. Psychologically is a state where we are experiencing sustained positive emotions. And what I mean by that are they're the emotions that have often been associated with the word heart, like care or appreciation or compassion or love. Those kind of emotions are present in the coherent state. They also trigger the coherent state. And so what you have happening is you have a state that's very alive, very aware. It's not just a sleepy time state. It gets arrived at by people through a lot of different methods. I mean, prayer, meditation, walk on the beach, drive off in the car, when you're feeling your best and you're operating in the zone. All those would be things that could bring us into coherence. And in that coherent state, we just do better at everything we do. We have more intuitive discernment. We're able to see into ourselves, see into others, see into situations more clearly. It's an energized state. It's calm and it's balanced, but it's also got an energy to it. So again, it's a very functional state. It's a state that is very engaged with life, with what's going on in our surroundings, and what's going on inside of us. And so all this happens because we learn to respect and tag into and then listen to the heart. And it's been said for thousands of years. I think what we've done well here at HeartMath is we've brought it into a modern context, and then we've created tools, techniques, and technology to give people a chance to develop their hearts more from these different dimensions of understanding heart.
The book is so profound. Really, everybody should get this book. It says the heart doesn't need a hardwired connection to the brain to keep beating. It has its own independent nervous system, almost like the heart can think for itself. It's truly intelligent. How is this so that it doesn't need the brain to keep beating?
Well, it has its own self-starting engine in it. The heart actually triggers off of these pacemaker cells that are firing within the heart itself. When I was in school, I had the impression, at least, that the brain was making the heart beat, but that's not true. The signals coming from brain down to heart are simply controlling or influencing the timing of the heartbeat. But the heart is what's called an autorhythmic organ. I mean, the source of the heartbeat is really in the heart itself. It's within the pacemaker cells that exist within the heart. And so I found that pretty interesting, too. Really, it was amazing to think about it because here we have this organ in our body that beats, on its own, really. And it actually starts beating before we have a brain, before the brain's even been formed in the body. Just a brain stem there. And the heart is like beating inside of us. Again, in a fully functional person, it's connected to all the nervous systems and things. But when those nerves are disconnected, like in a heart transplant, the heart actually continues to beat. And that surprised me as well. That was a sort of an astounding fact. It didn't really prove anything to me, but it was certainly an eye-opener to go, aha, well, I have a unique part of my physiology unlike anything else in my body, and it's called heart.
I thought that was pretty extraordinary, just to even know as part of a frame of reference. You also said that heart intelligence is not developed in most people, as the mind hijacks the emotions and uses it to express perceptions and reactions. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, that seems to be what happens, doesn't it? I guess one way to put it to you, Kim, would be that, the type of information coming from heart can often be a little quieter in a sense. It has a hard time competing with the roar and ambition of